Patrick Mahomes has done it again. One day down the road, I'll have children. Just being transparent, I'm 20 years old, but one day down the road, I will have children. And they're going to ask me, what is a great NFL quarterback? What does an elite NFL quarterback look like? And what does that mean when we call a guy generational and we can't really compare him in the same category as some of his peers? I'm going to say look up 15 in Kansas City. What Patrick Mahomes has been able to do this season. This is a football team that hasn't looked the same offensively all season. You lead the NFL in drops, 44 drops for this receiving core. You total all of those things up and you say, okay, I got to go through Josh Allen and I have to go through Lamar Jackson. He does that. Now he finds himself in the Super Bowl. And what I think was probably in all of the years he's made it to the Super Bowl, I think this was the hardest year, not because of the defense. You have a very, very good defense and we're going to get to that. But I think because of you look at what the offense was this season, a lot of young guys, a lot of struggles, but when it matters the most, Travis Kelce, he gets back to looking like how he looked all of his career. Hall of Fame guy, we're going to talk about him as well. Rashee Rice, Isaiah Pacheco coming along to the party, making big time plays. But we got a lot to talk about, so I want to get straight into it. The Chiefs showcase extreme playoff poise, defeat the Ravens 17-10 en route to Patrick Mahomes' fourth Super Bowl appearance in 5 years. This loss makes it the second time that Lamar Jackson has been the number one seed in the AFC and has failed to make the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes on the day, 30 of 39, 241 yards, and 1 touchdown. Travis Kelce on the day, 11 receptions, 116 yards, and 1 touchdown. He now becomes the all-time playoff reception leader. He passed Jerry Rice, another big-time guy, Hall of Fame guy, elite, probably the best receiver that the NFL has ever seen. But we have this conversation now. Dallas Clark, Mike Ditka, Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, Shannon Sharp. Travis Kelce may in fact be, also Rob Gronkowski, want to throw him in there as well. Can't slide past him, but Travis Kelce might be the best tight end we've ever seen. We look at some of the numbers, and of course, it's a different football game now. Travis Kelce is not the blocker like some of those other guys who I aforementioned were. But when you talk about the numbers and the level of success along with a guy like Patrick Mahomes, I want to know where you rank Travis Kelce all time in your tight end list. But let's get further. Going to the flip side. Lamar Jackson, 20 of 37, 272 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 4 sacks taken. We're going to talk about the pass rush package and really how Steve Spagnuolo and the crew created a game plan where they could get after Lamar Jackson but still not sacrifice coverage in the back end, still not let Lamar Jackson use his legs to the full extent. Looking at it on the day, Lamar had 8 carries for 54 yards. And you look at any quarterback, those are big-time scramble yards. But also we have to look at it. He had the fourth down conversion. We had about a 30-yard gain on that play. So those are the types of things where you say for the most part in the passing game, we didn't let him extend the play, get the big-time play. Outside of the touchdown early, the Zay Flowers will open up the football game. Talking about Zay Flowers, 5 receptions, 115 yards, and 1 touchdown. Now, we got to dive deep into this one. We can talk, what I've seen so far talking about this football game, it's been a lot of ref talk. But I think the Baltimore Ravens really did not show up today. We saw a football team who was undisciplined. We saw a football team who could not protect Lamar Jackson. We saw a receiving core which could not consistently separate versus Trent McDuffie, L'Jarius Sneed, Justin Reed, those linebackers in the front seven. We have to talk about what does this mean for the Baltimore Ravens, but also we got to give credit to what the Kansas City Chiefs did. I'm looking at the Ravens, though. 3 of 11 on third down today, 4 of 12 on third down last week versus the Houston Texans. And if we had to nitpick one thing last week, that's what it was. Because it was a complete game that we saw from Baltimore last week. They ran the football. Lamar Jackson looked exceptional. Zay Flowers had a pretty solid day. But third down. You talk about Ronnie Stanley. You talk about Morgan Moses on the flip side. Those guys on the edges have to be able to protect. Now, I think we saw George Karlaftis. We saw Mike Dana, Charles Omenihu getting a strip sack against Ronnie Stanley to really open up the football game, even though the Kansas City Chiefs didn't score on that drive. Charles Omenihu got the strip sack, and then the Kansas City Chiefs went downs. Isaiah Pacheco ran the football, didn't convert on fourth down. So that's a situation where you could have had a dagger, but you don't score in that situation to give the Ravens more life. But as we can see, they only mustered up 10 points on the day. Getting into some more things, Zay Flowers. Now, I want to put this out and talk about the taunting call. When you play football in its natural state, There's going to be big hits. There's going to be celebrations. Those are two things that it's a game at the end of the day. Those are two things which make the game fun, which make grown men want to go out there, build generational wealth, and play football and play it for a long, substantial period of time because you can have fun. I don't think it was the taunting call and Zay Flowers celebrating the play which made it a flag. I think it was the culmination of also now after we catch the football, we're going to push down the defender, we're going to spin the football, and then we're going to continue to celebrate after that. So when you add all of those things up, not only did he just catch the football and taunt, he pushed down the defender, he spanned the football in front of him, he stood over him, and then he continued to celebrate. I think that's why it was a taunting call, not because they're trying to take the fun out of the football game. Now, it's something we could talk about down below in the comments. I want to hear your take as well, but I think that's why you have that. Then we get a little further in the drive. He fumbles the football down there in the red zone. And I think on your two most important drives, your big-time playmakers let you down. Now, we can talk about pass interference on the Isaiah Likely target because when Lamar Jackson threw it, it was triple coverage, but he threw it to Isaiah Likely, and there's really banter. We're going back and forth. Is it a pass interference? But I think in that moment, when you know you got to leave with 3, I think it's too risky of a throw right there. It was 17-7 at that point in the football game. You could have kicked the field goal, get the football back potentially, and then you have an opportunity. You probably wouldn't have had any timeouts, but you have about 1 minute 50, 1 minute 30 to go back and score. He throws the interception. I think that effectively sealed the game for this football team. Looking at some of the other things, like I said, you have 8 penalties for 95 yards. What did I talk about all season? They cleaned that up against the Houston Texans. They only had about 3 or 4 penalties, but you come back in this football game, now you're getting penalized. This was a team who was ranked 26th in penalties when we talk about the NFL season. They were right above the Houston Texans, but they got back to that brand of football. I want to talk about some of those miscues. You got a Lamar Jackson strip sack, like I said, Charles Omenihu, the Zay Flowers taunting flag, Kyle Van Noy necessary roughness, and Jadeveon Clowney roughing the passer. But when I also talk about this, I want to say Lamar Jackson missed some throws out there. There were some throws on the football where you had Nelson Aguilar down the sideline, Odell Beckham down the sideline. And those are the types of throws where even if we don't complete the football, let's give our guy opportunity to draw a pass interference. We saw Odell Beckham. He tried to get back into the defender, draw a pass interference, but the football was too far in front of him. So when I look at that, I think even though Lamar Jackson is going to deserve the MVP, but this football team today, and they had no running game. Lamar Jackson had 8 carries. The Baltimore Ravens had 16 carries. So that is 8 carries from your backfield. And Zay Flowers had 2 of those carries. So we look at Justice Hill, Gus Edwards, 6 carries combined between the two. That's not enough. This is a football team, although they moved off of Greg Roman because he could not create the passing scheme, which could allow Lamar Jackson to be a better quarterback. But in this football game, although the Chiefs, they stopped the run at a high level, but I'm thinking, okay, in this game, maybe potentially you could try to stick with the run game. Did not do that. So we're looking at Todd Monken for that. But I really want to talk about the Chiefs and close it up like this because you got the MVS dagger. You got Travis Kelce making unbelievable catches. You got Patrick Mahomes. I don't know how in the world, I believe it was a 3rd or 4th down. There was a pass where he had protection. He had a lot of time, and then he was getting hit. He gets hit, not sacked. He gets hit in the pocket, and somehow he dives. He's about to fall on the foot, but he's about to fall on the ground, and he makes a throw to Travis Kelce. Those are the moments where you say this guy's too good. If they have him, they're always going to have a shot. And I think early on we looked at it. Okay, we're getting Isaiah Pacheco involved. We're getting into the screen game. You see some of these bubble routes, some of these smoke routes by Rashee Rice, letting him catch the football in space. Now he can break some tackles, make big-time plays with the football. Travis Kelce, same exact thing. Some of those screen passes and against man coverage, they had no answer for him. I really thought that even on the first touchdown, because you had him matched up against Kyle Hamilton, and that's too good of a football, how many times can a defender, because you're running with this guy, if you're out of phase, now we got to play through a receiver, but we also have to say, okay, if he's stopping his momentum and he's showing late hands, I catch the football, how am I as a defender running towards the receiver? The football is outside and it's in the perfect position for Travis Kelce. How could I possibly ever make the play and stop a touchdown like that? So I think those are the types of things with Patrick Mahomes all day. We see it. This is a guy at 28 years old, has 14 playoff wins. That only places him behind Joe Montana. Tom Brady has 35 playoff wins. That's a long, long time down the road for Mahomes. But you're looking at it, he could potentially by next season past Joe Montana, have the second most playoff wins for a quarterback, and he's 28 years old. He'll be 29 next year. So you think about all of those things. One quote I want to bring in, Chiefs wide receiver Justin Watson on Patrick Mahomes. He said, "I don't know why anyone would question Pat. He's Michael Jordan playing football." And you say, okay, you think about all of these things in this game. He showed you why he's that guy, why I think it's Patrick Mahomes. And there's some very good quarterbacks, but I think he's comfortably the best quarterback in the NFL. And the last thing I want to say is, with this defense, Steve Spagnuolo, I talked about some of those guys on the pass rush unit. You got Chris Jones on the interior, Mike Dana, Charles Omenihu, George Karlaftis had a big-time sack in this one. But I think when they're bringing 5 and sometimes 6 in the pressure package, now we say, okay, Leo Chanel, Drew Tranquil. Now we're getting into the pocket, but there's no real gap for Lamar Jackson to run out of. And then we say in the back end, I'm trusting Justin Reed. I'm trusting L'Jarius Sneed. I'm trusting Trent McDuffie. We have those guys who can cover, but we also have guys in the front 7 who can get after you. I thought it was a unison where we saw rushing with the coverage and covering with the rush. You got to shout out Steve Spagnuolo in this unit all week, and deservedly so. That Ravens defense is nice. The Kansas City Chiefs scored 17 in the first half, 0 in the second half. But I think when you say that and you look at them so much, sometimes we forget the Kansas City Chiefs defense was 3rd in yards allowed and 2nd in points allowed per game. So we can talk about the first scoring defense, top 5 in yards allowed for Baltimore, but you're looking at it and you're looking across. This is a team who has dogs. Nick Bolton, Willie Gay was injured in this game. He didn't play. But I think about Mike Edwards. I think about all of those guys, and all day stopping and run when they tried to run the football and covering, getting after Lamar Jackson, not allowing him to scramble outside of the pocket, use his legs to extend plays. This was a complete team win, and I think I'm recording this at halftime of the NFC Championship game, so I don't know who their opponent will be. We're probably going to comment that down below. If you're watching this video, you can comment it down below. But I think this is a team, potentially, I think they'll be favored in the Super Bowl. Right now, based off what we saw, now the offense can't play like you did in the second half, but defensively, you have a very good unit. This is the best defense, and this is what I said all season. Even when you had neutral zone infractions, even when you dropped all of those passes, Kelsey, Rice, Tony, I knew this defense was still good. When we look at the Super Bowl, you're going to have Mahomes. You're going to have a top 3, top 2, maybe even 1 defense based on what we saw today. So you have the question, and I want you to let me know down below in the comments. Do you think this is Patrick Mahomes' best Super Bowl run? And if he closes this thing out, along with the defense, along with some of those weapons, Rasheed, Travis, how do we start to rank him all time? Because we look at it right now, he's the best quarterback in the game. But you're looking at Brady. How much closer will a Super Bowl victory place Patrick Mahomes, number 15 for Kansas City, to that guy that played over there in New England, won the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay? Thank you for watching. As always, those are my thoughts on the game. This is what I saw in the football game. I want to know what you saw in the football game. What do you think in the football game? What do you think is the future for the Baltimore Ravens? I think when you have Lamar Jackson, that unit and that quarterback, the foundation, along with Harbaugh, you're going to be in it. Now, Mike McDonald, he's about to interview with he's about to interview with the Washington Commanders over there for their head coaching job. So there's 2 vacancies right now, Seattle and Washington. I think even if he doesn't come back next year, you have to find a defensive coordinator. What is Vrabel doing over there? Head coaching jobs are being limited. Can you get Vrabel? But this is a team that I think they will be back. This is a matchup we can watch for years to come, and I'm going to talk about in future videos. What does this mean for Lamar Jackson? How do we view him all time? 2-time MVP, but another playoff fair. I think a very good quarterback, but in this game, we saw some things that have to be fixed. Now, thank you guys for watching as always. That's going to do it for today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And now, we out.